Hi, I'm Nick Herman,
And I'm Melanie Herman,
and this is Brain Change for You podcast.
and we're going to try and keep it brief, but we know your time is limited and we have important information. So we're just giving you kind of in a nutshell the information we have to share today.
So, what our information that we're sharing today is what is neurofeedback.
And we've had some requests just for a little overview of it.
Yeah, so neurofeedback is a natural, non-invasive approach to train your brain to function more efficiently and optimally to help self-regulate it. So, non-invasive meaning no shocks, no prods, no burns, no
electricity
like
through the
that.
brain. Some people say, "Oh, what do they shoot? What do they shoot through your brain when you do neurofeedback?" But there's none of that. And some of us suffer from, or many of us, almost all of us, have those that we love that have some of these issues here that are displayed on the screen: ADD or ADHD, learning disorders,
Parkinson's disease, addictions, sensory issues,
epilepsy. Neurofeedback's been very helpful over the years with epilepsy, with ADD, with autism. Are some specific, also OCD, anxiety, many things neurofeedback has helped with. And even if we don't have a specific diagnosis of a condition or symptoms, there isn't a person out there that doesn't wish they were smarter, faster, or more focused.
Definitely more calm, like me. I'm kind of not in a calm state today, I'll say that.
Need a little neurofeedback, more creative, more positive, and sometimes we felt like this gentleman in the picture here.
Oh yeah, me today, yes.
Well, and neurofeedback is based on the principles of frequency and intensity, that if we want to have a neuroplastic change in our brain, we have to perform a certain thought or activity frequently. And the more frequently, the stronger and quickly the change will come. And it also has to be intense. So training slightly above our level of comfort and increasing the intensity as symptoms subside and we move forward. So we have to have frequency and intensity for change to happen. You can see in our images here of the ski slope, our existing neural pathways often happen. Our thoughts and our activities happen without us even considering them or thinking about them, because they're so automatic. Like going to the top of a well-worn ski slope, and one that we've gone many times, and our skis just find that path that we've gotten used to without even thinking about it. But now that we're going to do something different and we want changes in our brain, you can see the image on the right. It's going to be difficult for our brain to now get out of the habit of going down that easy road and now to form a new neural pathway. And it's going to take, like I said, practice, frequency, and it's going to take intensity and focus and attending to what we're thinking and doing. And that's when change will come. And these are some principles that are you know how I wanted that word. Mm-hmm. Principles that are part of neurofeedback.
Yes.
So when we're talking about neurofeedback, when people will come to talk to me about neurofeedback, I kind of like to talk about arousal level, because arousal level is the overall awakeness or attentiveness of our entire nervous system. Mm-hmm. And a healthy nervous system actually will shift through many different arousal levels to function well during a day. And in today's day and age, more people are stuck in over-arousal. Probably 90% of the people, at least some of the research has shown, 90% of the people are stuck in over-arousal because of the demands of living today. There are a handful of people, and many people out there, that are stuck in under-arousal. But as we go through a day, our brains actually shift from these different arousal states, our brains and our bodies, and for us to function well, we have to. I mean, when we're in an intensive lecture in college or school, our brains have to be in that frequency level that they can attend and focus and learn. And when we're unwinding at night and needing to relax to go to sleep, our arousal level has to come down and be calmer so that or lower frequencies, so we're able to fall asleep. When we wake up in the morning, we're at a lower arousal level than we are, like again, like I said, at a learning point or a high demand point in our jobs where tasks have to be accomplished and done. And so we have this arousal level. And I like this picture because I described arousal level this way. A person could be coming home from a busy day at work and driving down the road, and suddenly the car in front of them slams on the brakes. And as a result, quickly we slam on the brake, and we do have a racing heart. Maybe our stomach drops because we've almost been in a car accident.
And we look like this.
And we look like this. But and with a healthy nervous system, with good shifts of arousal, a person after a few moments is able to calm down both mentally and physically. Their heart rate will go back to a nice calm rate. That pit in the stomach will go away, and they'll be able to drive home because they did not get in the accident. They'll be able to drive home and function through in the evening with their family and preparing dinner or whatever, and go on and fall asleep that night without a problem. But a person who is stuck in overarousal may not be able to do that. In fact, may be very stressed the entire evening, maybe not be able to focus on the family, and even at bedtime, when it's time to go to sleep, an overaroused nervous system is not been able to self-regulate or calm down or adjust from that moment of stress or that adrenaline rush earlier in the day, and so sleep is very difficult in coming.
Yeah, with me, it's with my brain injury and everything that we've discussed in earlier podcasts. My arousal level is relatively high. Neurofeedback has helped with that, being able to calm it down, so I'm able to sleep at night. But for a long time, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I'd go to bed at, let's say, 10 o'clock at night, and I wouldn't be asleep till 1 or 2 in the morning because I just couldn't shut my mind down. Maybe after a stressful day, just all these things after a stressful day are still weighing on my mind. But with neurofeedback, this helps with my arousal levels, and it would help you too. So.
And arousal level, a key part of neurofeedback is the reward frequency, which we're not going to give tons of information here, but is arousal level is trained by the frequency of the rewards that your neurofeedback clinician would
help
set
you with.
Yes. Okay, so neurofeedback also has to do with instabilities, which often lead to symptoms of disinhibition. And Nick was going to make a comment on this because of his brain injury, has had some sensitivities to some sensory input. So do you want to tell about that just a little?
Yeah, so instabilities, my instabilities are, with my brain injury, I'm sensitive to light, quick movements, loud noises. Like I go shooting with my dad, and every time the gun goes off and fires the bullet, I jump.
And
exactly
over the years,
and my heart starts to race and everything else. So.
And with Nick's, the different interventions we've done over the years, I've noticed, it used to be as Nick as a little boy at the fireworks, his head would be buried almost down in his lap with his arms up over his ears because of the fireworks going off were too stressful for him. And often when you have these instabilities, then you have symptoms of disinhibition where your body is so stressed and you've had so much of that adrenaline or cortisol rush that you aren't able to control your reactions.
You get angry.
Yeah. And you might be
scared,
overreactive.
Stuff like that. Yeah, overreactive.
Yeah. So neurofeedback helps with this. Okay, go ahead to the next one, Nick.
Yeah.
And also you might have localized dysfunction, which may be a specific region of the brain that has incurred an injury or has under activity or overactivity, and so that's affecting your overall well-being. And so neurofeedback can very specifically focus on a localized area of the brain and help with that.
Yeah.
So, and also, lastly, we'll talk about learned fears and habits. Addictions can also be helped with neurofeedback because, like that ski slope that we showed you, often we have these fears that become who we are, or we don't even consider that they're fears that they might not be true. Mm-hmm. We also don't recognize the addictions, the addictions and the habits that we have fallen into because they're so automatic. And if they're good habits, that's great. But if they're unhealthy an addictive habits, then it's not, and that's when we have to break out of that. We have to be aware of it, break out of it, and so yes, neurofeedback can help with addiction.
So this is what neurofeedback looks like. This was me in high school doing the neurofeedback. Electrodes are placed on my head. Brain waves are observed through an EEG, or I'm not even going to say that word.
Electroencephalogram.
Thank you. And what it shows on the laptop screen in the left picture, that's your brain waves, your EEG. You're seeing what your brain is doing, and it's being played through on the right screen, a video game. So in this instance, my brain waves are controlling this rocket ship. It's making it go, it's making it move, it's making it earn points with these little diamonds in the middle of the screen.
And so if whatever reward frequency Nick was being trained at, and for him would be a very low frequency because of over-arousal, so I would be training him at a very low frequency. So when his brain is in that calm state, then the rocket ship will go. Mm-hmm. But for example, if he had a stressful moment, or his brain went out of that and a kind of an erratic wave, then the rocket ship would stop. Or if his brain waves went into under arousal and were below the reward window, then it might fog over. So I also have a daughter with a seizure disorder, and so you could see her actual seizure activity on the maybe not it wasn't manifested clinically, but you could see it on her EEG. And when she would have that erratic, that spike wave complex, which is a seizure activity, the rocket ship might blow back, or the screen would black out, and so you wouldn't get the reward of the ship going.
Yeah.
So, and over time, doing this, or again, frequency and intensity, over time, your brain learns these new patterns through reward. So we've talked about this. You can see the gentleman over here on the left viewing his brainwaves through the video game, and there are lots of different options. Great feedback back there now to keep people focused and
entertained, I guess.
Entertained. You have to be aware and focused on the feedback, or you're not going to have any change. But there are some different choices. So another thing that's really cool with neurofeedback is you have auditory, visual, and tactile feedback. The little teddy bear that you see there in the middle is called Neurofeedback, and he actually vibrates when you're in the reward window. Your brain is behaving at the optimal frequency, then the teddy bear will vibrate. Mm-hmm. And here's some more images of different feedbacks that you can enjoy while you're doing neurofeedback session.
Yep.
We gotta hustle a little bit. Oh, we're not timed on this one, are we?
No, we're not.
Oh, okay. We're thinking we have 15 minutes. We're going to try and keep it really short. But here you see that electrode placements that are possible with neurofeedback. So based on a person, if you're coming into neurofeedback with general arousal issues, then there are main sites that you would start with, which would be T3, T4, and probably T3 FP1 and T4 FP2, your prefrontal. Also, a lot of times you would start with your parietal lobe, because that's physical calming. Your frontal lobes are mental, emotional calming, emotional regulation. And then your T3, T4, your temporal lobes are overall stability. So those are good starting points. But after that, if you have localized dysfunction, like we talked about in another screen, your clinician might move on after a few sessions of overall arousal training to specific areas. For example, if you have sleep issues, and it's due to your body not being able to relax, and so that you can physically relax to go to sleep, then you might be training at the parietal lobe, T4, P4, where you're trained so your body can relax. But what if your sleep's your issue, and at night you are not be able to shut your brain off? I mean, most people out there have had their brains so busy that they can't stop thinking so they can go to sleep. Well, that would be your frontal lobes, where the training would be probably T4 FP2 and T3 FP1 to calm your thoughts so that you can also go to sleep. So, it might be you have a problem with a specific thing like reading, might be migraines, which would be temporal lobe training. So just depending on your specific symptoms, your clinician would place the electrodes in those areas and then pick the optimal reward frequency for you that would be helpful. Over time, usually neurofeedback sessions, 20 to 40 sessions is where they do pre and post testing and look for overall results of neurofeedback. But clinical results, I feel, are more important than test results, because really the most important thing about neurofeedback is that daily you are living and functioning and feeling better in your daily life.
Yeah, and of course, yes. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're good.
But I was just going to say, for those of you probably, maybe this would be a good, maybe if you think this would be a good route to go, there are, where we are, there are places in Salt Lake that do the neurofeedback. You actually do neurofeedback, so you can contact, just Google it and under neurofeedback clinician, and you'll be able to find a local person in your area or near you that will be able to do this for you if you're interested in this.
Yes. Thanks, Nick. Okay, so now the exciting thing that we have now because of technology is the ability to see pre and post images of brain and a brain change. So this is how we know neuroplasticity is indeed a science and not just a theory, because we have the hard data, the pre and post testing and now imaging, and there's all sorts of brain imaging that can be done, like SPECT scans or PET scans, and now this is actually a quantitative EEG that's displayed here. And you can see the changes on the top row of the pre-test before neurofeedback and then the after neurofeedback images. And what you'll see here now, a nice comfortable range in coloring that you would want to see is the yellow, the greens. Overall, that's a calm area or to be displayed in a EEG, a quantitative EEG. Orange and reds are over arousal. So you can see the person in this image, they had a lot of overactivity in the prefrontal cortex and the frontal cortex. Now, that could result in inhibitory control, temper. It could result in maybe overactivity in your left prefrontal cortex, where your brain is so busy that it's overactive and it gets exhausted from overactivity. So you might see that in ADD. You might also see the opposite in ADD, where the prefrontal cortex won't wake up, and then you would see like dark blue in that region,
which is under arousal.
Yeah. So it depends on the individual. You can't just say that because someone has doesn't have focus or has ADD that they're automatically over aroused or under aroused. You have to consider a lot of things. But here you see a nice balance in color after. I'm not sure if this 20 or 40 neurofeedback sessions, but you see the improvement. And based on this picture, you will see a person that has a lot of stress from overactivity, maybe trouble sleeping, trouble focusing, trouble holding still, trouble controlling their temper. Maybe they have substance abuse problems with that prefrontal overactivity. But you can see that a nice, well-rounded, well-functioning brain and the after effects of neurofeedback. This is just one image. You can Google these and find them on the internet. But exciting thing is, Nick's going to show you this right now. Neurofeedback is an expensive intervention. I mean, I don't know. It's relative expensive. Probably, at least in Utah, in our area, I would say 20 neurofeedback sessions are in the range of $1,500 to $2,000 for 20 sessions. They're usually twice a week for 10 weeks with a pre and post testing, and often, you'll hear a clinician say, we'd like to recommend 40 neurofeedback sessions. When Nick first was doing neurofeedback, that was in high school, we were traveling to Salt Lake for it, and we're pulling him out of school, and that was hard for him to miss school, and also for us to get him down there in the afternoons, and there was traffic, and there wasn't a clinician here where we live in Cache Valley, and as a result, I went to EEG Institute in Woodland Hills, California, and was trained, and so that was back in 2007. So I've done neurofeedback since then, and like I said, it's a time commitment, it's a travel commitment, and it's also a financial commitment. But now the exciting thing is that there are so many options out there that are more affordable for families that are looking for help and they can't afford to do that or the travel time.
Yeah.
So Interaxon has developed a mini neurofeedback device that you can use in your home with an app that you download on your iPhone or your iPad or your device.
Android or
your Android device.
Like that, yeah.
And it actually tracks your brain waves and trains your brain to be calm, to come to a calm and focused state. And we've used this in our family, and it is very helpful. And I've also had neurofeedback clients that do this daily in their homes and have seen positive effects. So, Nick, why don't you kind of show that? We're not going to actually pull up the screen. You can go to Interexon, choosemuse.com, and you can see videos on it. And at some point, we might do a podcast interview with the developers or the professionals at Interaxon. They're kind of interested in doing a podcast with us. But for now, we're just giving you a quick overview because we've talked about neurofeedback, and this is another option.
So this is called the Muse. As you've seen the picture, it's like Star Trek-y, live long and prosper, kind of jokingly, blah, 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 blah. But what happens is you turn this on, the button to turn on the Muse is right here. You pair it with your iPad, your iPhone, your Android. And they have sensors on your ears, along your head here. And what happens is you'll do exercises with an app. So a beach scene will be going. And basically your brain waves, it helps you go through exercises to help train your brain to calm itself. And as you're watching this beach scene for anywhere from 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes to 20 minutes, if your brain is in over arousal, if you're stressed out, if your mind's everywhere at once, the beach scene will become stormy, the waves will become louder, wind will blow. But as you consistently work at this, usually I do twice a day, and for about 5-7 minutes. But you can change the time. Anyway, that's a whole different story. But once your brain gets trained and you're in a calmer state, you'll be able to level out the arousal levels or the stress levels. The beach will calm down. It will just sound like a normal beach in Southern California, or anywhere in the world, really. But after you're in a calm state, you'll start hearing little birds, little tweets. You'll be like, and that's your reward.
And it really is those little birds, those little tweets
birds
are very calming and rewarding, aren't they?
And fun, yeah. And you'll be like, yes, okay, next time I'm gonna get like 5 birds. I hope to get 5 birds, but you have to keep working at it. And
they do track your progress on you. So you'll have an account, and anybody in your family can use the headband, but they'll have their own individual accounts. Mm-hmm. And you know what the Muse trains you to do is focus on your breathing. The first minute that you're on, you calibrate your brain, and they look at your brain activity in an active state. So they give you 3 categories that you brainstorm for 20 seconds each, and then they have a picture of your very active brain, and then after that little calibration, then they start your breathing, where you're counting your breaths. And when your mind does wander, like Nick said, away from your counts of your breathing, that's when you'll hear the storm and the waves.
Yep.
But and that will remind you, oh, I did, my mind wandered. Now it's really interesting because you'll start to recognize this. And one thing that I've been able to do from the Muse was I can, because of this focus on breathing and being aware, for example, of my heart rate, sometimes I have a racing heart, and I can, with that breathing and focus now, I kind of learned this with the Muse, calm down my racing heart or my heart rate. And also, and just to throw this in too, now what I'm able to do is when I do the lights at night, when I have the light panel on that you've heard in other podcasts, now I can focus on my breathing. I might not have my Muse actually have it on, but now I can count my breaths and focus on my breathing. And so I'm kind of doing double duty at once because time is precious. And to get the time during the day, is difficult, but if you want to have any change, any neuroplastic change in your brain, you have to use the intervention.
Yeah.
It won't do you any good to buy a Muse, to buy lights, to do neurofeedback if you're not taking the time to actually do them.
And the nice thing is about the Muse, it's a lot cheaper than going out and doing the regular neurofeedback. We recommend both, but if you can't afford it, you can go to www.choosemuse.com. They have the information on the Muse, what it does, and also price. I don't know what the price is now. But
I think they're $299, $300. If you do, you can either if you'd like to order a Muse, we don't actually have them at our house, but we can order for you, or if you want to go online and do Choose Muse and order one for your family, and you put in the order code Neurability 10 written right there, they'll take very good care of you because they're really excited that we're sharing this information with our Brain Change for You group. So. Let's just conclude now, Nick. So you want to read this last screen?
So with neurofeedback, strengthen your memory, increase your focus, plan, organize, and complete tasks, work better, sleep better, feel better as you live life more calmly and effectively. We really enjoy doing these podcasts. For those of you who are new, welcome. For those of you who've joined us before, we're glad to see you back. Please subscribe to our channel so that we can get more word out there. If you have any questions, you can contact us via email, and we're grateful that we're able to do this podcast. So we will let you go for now, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you.